everyone to the issues and updates for the Board of County Commissioners on August 8, 2023. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. Good morning. Commissioner Shull is on his way. Otherwise, all commissioners are present. We are jumping ahead to the issues list, and the first item is compensation for the County Administrator and County Council. Chair Smith, I have you discussing it, or I can kick it off, however you'd like to proceed.
I can do that. Commissioners, and for those listening, the Board of County Commissioners technically have two employees, and they are our Chief County Counsel, Stephen Madcore, and County Administrator Gary Schmidt. Last week, I believe it was, we did their performance review, found them to be satisfactory in their job performance, not only satisfactory, but exceeding in many ways, and have accomplished the goals that we set forth for them to accomplish last year. And with that in mind, I can open this up to discussion. Commissioners, we have the opportunity to, they already get a 3.5% COLA, but also to give them the merit as all other county employees are receiving. Comments, Commissioner Shull.
Chair, excuse me, you said a 3.5 COLA, you meant a 4.5
I meant a
COLA.
4.5 COLA. Thank you for that correction. We just had an executive session where numbers were flying all over. So they get the 4.5, and they we can take a vote today on the 4.5, the additional merit increase, which is how much?
3.5%.
Yes, I got my numbers reversed on that. Any comments or questions, Commissioners?
I can make a motion.
Yes.
Chair, I move that we approve the merit increase of 3.5% and a COLA of 4.5% for Gary Schmidt, County Administrator, and Stephen Madcore, County Counsel.
I'll second.
Commissioner West has made the motion of a 3.5 merit increase, they would get the COLA, and and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Further discussion. There are two commissioners here, Commissioner Shull and then Commissioner Savas.
Yes, Chair, I just want to make sure we clarify on the motion. The 4.5 COLA is already a given done
Correct.
thing.
We
So
don't
what
need
we're
a motion
voting-
on that.
We're voting on the 3.5.
Yes, I do.
Thank
I'll
you.
amend my motion to strike out the COLA portion of the motion and focus on the merit increase of 3.5%.
And Commissioner Schrader, you.
Second, I agree to the amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner Shull. Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Yeah, I just want to make a few comments. I appreciate the work that legal counsel, the great work legal counsel office has done, the leadership there, as well as the tremendous amount of work and that our administrator has done on behalf of all the fiscal challenges we face and everything else we dealt with, all these emergencies and so forth. So kudos to them for their great performance. Overall, you know, we have two employees, these two gentlemen. It's also mindful, I'm also very mindful, and I think a lot of us share at least some of my concerns, and that is that as we look about, we're always negotiating with our labor unions. We're also factoring expenses, cost, a lot of things on the periphery that have, you know, things to do with our constituents out there where we invest dollars in or we're unable to invest a certain amount of dollars in. So I just have a larger concern that, you know, we are going to be at a point or threshold in which, you know, we might have layoffs. We had 6 as a result of this budget. I'm very concerned if we're not really sharp on our pencil that there might be more layoffs in the future. And I do understand the contractual obligations. I do understand all these things that are built in and the increases that come with cost of living and so forth. So all that said, I just feel the pressure, the financial pressure that we're constantly under and going forward. So that being said, I'm prepared to support this motion today.
Commissioner West.
I will be supporting my motion, and I completely agree with the sentiments and the comments from Commissioner Savas. And, you know, in government and sometimes in these types of entities, the merit increase has almost been like, do you have a pulse and are you not being disciplined? So you get a merit increase. It's not really driven by someone's actual merit and the things they bring to the county. But these two gentlemen bring great work to the county. They are very talented. They work very hard. And so out of principle, because they are due their pay for their good quality work. I'm excited and I'm fully supportive of supporting their merit increase because of the good work they have been doing.
Thank you, Commissioners. Seeing no further comments, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Schull.
No.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 4-1. Thank you very much, Stephen Madcore and Gary Schmidt, for your wonderful service. Coming up next, Commissioners, I'm going to ask that we be brief. We have a huge amount of work that needs to be done. Gary Schmidt has informed me that not all of it can be rolled over until next week. We have an abbreviated week next week because we have fair, and we will only be here part-time. So I'm going to ask, if you have questions, write them down and email it to the presenter. If you really don't want to approve anything, then we won't approve it. But please, if we could just be mindful of that. I have a 12 o'clock, Commissioner Schrader has a 12 o'clock, Commissioner West has to be someplace as well, too, but we will try to do as much as we can. Gary, what's next?
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioners, for your motion. Greatly appreciated. It's an honor to serve you. Would you please convene as the Housing Authority of Clackamas County?
I will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Housing Authority of Clackamas County.
This is a request for consent agenda, Housing Authority of Clackamas County. Item 1, approval to apply for a 2040 Planning and Development Grant for pre-development activities for Clackamas Heights and to provide a letter of support for the Clackamas Heights redevelopment project. Total value is $375,000 over 24 months. Funding is through the Metro Construction Excise Tax. No county general funds are involved. Rod Cook, Director of Health, Housing, Human Services. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'll be quick. Funding for this grant will support pre-development planning and design work associated with the redevelopment of Clackamas Heights. Through the redevelopment of Clackamas Heights, the Housing Authority aims to increase the number of units on the 16.5-acre site from 100 to between 200 and 250 units. So this is a grant for planning of that.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Thank you. Chair, would you please convene as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District?
I will recess as the Housing Authority of Clackamas County and convene as the North Clackamas Recreation District.
This is request for consent agenda for the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. Item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Clackamas County related to construction of the Oak Lodge Library. Total value is $21.5 million for library construction. Funding is through library district revenue, retained fund reserves, county ARPA funds, state ARPA funds, and $5.7 million in budgeted county general funds. Mike Bork, Director of North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, and Jeff Munns, Counsel for the District.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you. Yes, this is the construction IGA, the first agreement in a series of agreements that we will have between the county and NCPRD to construct the new Oak Lodge Library on the Concord property site. We had previously presented this to you, and they've made some changes to this agreement to add some additional kind of recitals, as well as some mutual promises between the county and the district to continue to work together on addressing some of the community as well as shared uses of this site. The next phase in this agreement or this process would be the replatting of the property as well as conveyance of the deeds to NCPRD and the county after we can start construction. It's a little bit backwards, but that's due to the method we're using to replat this, which is a condominium plat. We need to have some of this started so we can properly survey the property, as well as then simultaneously we'll continue to work on the process to put in place the operations agreement. Previously, you'd asked some questions about the deed and form and so on, and it is fee title that the county would be taking this library property in. It's just that you would have a condo portion of the property as opposed to a lot. But it's a very tried and true method for doing so as far as a shared use of the property. Any questions that you would have about this process or this agreement?
Questions or comments, Commissioner Schull?
Yes, good morning. This IGA for $21.5 million, is this all-inclusive on this project, or can we expect that the board will be presented with other costs related to the construction of the Oak Lodge Library?
Right. I think what you're going to see for the cost of the construction is there's a contract coming to you for the actual construction of the library. This total amount is the total project cost. The cost of the actual construction IGA is minimal. It's more of an agreement so that the county can get onto the NCPRD property and begin construction. But I think your question goes to, is this a fixed maximum of the total cost of the library? And I think Mike could speak more to the actual construction agreement that they've seen, because it's part of what Concord is doing, and it's the same contractor.
Yeah, what's going to be coming before you for both the Concord for the library portion and the rest of the Concord property is a guaranteed maximum price I'm not sure if it's a contract. Obviously, that's to set the guaranteed maximum price. Have I seen prices go up? Obviously, if cost of materials come back, but that would be done in an amendment. But this is the best effort that we've got right now. And that 21.5, that's just library. That is not including the 14.9 million that NCPRD is spending on the other portions. So that's just library portion.
Okay, so again, this has ARPA dollars, other funds, and then 5.7 million in budgeted county general funds. And my question is it a potential that 5.7 million in general funds would be exceeded?
Well, that's why we went with the guaranteed maximum price contract model, to try to contain those costs. If something like that were to change and it'd be a significant change in the price, we'd have to come back and be amending that contract, and there'd be a further discussion with the board as to whether you'd be doing that or be looking at value engineering on the project as a whole to keep that cost down. So this is why this method of contracting was chosen, is to try to have as hard a ceiling as possible on this overall contract for the library. But, yes, everything's possible, but this is our best effort to keep it contained.
Okay,
Gary?
thank you.
It's a guaranteed price for the libraries and the courthouse, and it's not going over. And if it does, we're going to have to change the construction. But that's a guarantee to you, commissioners, and the public. That's the answer. Thank you.
Commissioner Savas? Okay,
That
there
was
we
it.
go.
I just want to make sure we already approved that.
Okay, Gary, how many of the consent agenda items must be approved today?
All of them.
Commissioners, that took 4 minutes. Now, you may have the luxury of asking every question under the sun. This particular contract, we have gone over 1 million times. Thank you very much.
Thank
See
you.
no objections.
Thank you.
Up next.
Chair, would you please convene as the Service District Number 5?
I will recess as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District and convene as the Service District Number 5.
This is request for consent agenda for Service District Number 5, which is the Street Lighting District. Item 1, approval of a board resolution certifying the 2023-2024 assessment roll for the Clackamas County Service District Number 5. Total value is $2,257,738.24. Funding is through ratepayers. No county general funds are involved. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development. Go ahead.
I have nothing else to add. You're certifying the roll. The roll was considered in your budget that you approved. It is a formality we have to do for to get the information back to assessment and taxation.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Thank you. Chair, will you please convene as the Water Environment Services Board?
I will recess as Service District Number 5 and convene as a Water Environment Services.
Is a request for consent agenda for Water Environment Services. Item 1, approval of a personal services contract with Consor North America for engineering services to design the improved Willamette Pump Station and Force Main. Total contract value is $1,174,772 for 3.25 years. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved. Ron Waringa, Assistant Director of Water Environment Services. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Smith and Board. Ron Waringa with Water Environment Services. This first item is a request for approval of a contract for design of our Willamette Area Capacity Improvement Project in West Lynn. Our 2019 Sanitary Sewer Master Plan identified capacity limitations for this pump station and force main, as well as some condition issues. This contract will advance the previously completed conceptual designs to the 30% level, and we'll have a future contract amendment to take the project to final design. Construction services, this project is in our adopted CIP. The total contract value is $1.18 million, with a total project cost estimate at $27.5 million. That's
Thank
it.
you. Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Item 2, approval of an amendment to a contract with Consor North America to begin Phase 2 final design work on the Intertie 2 pump station and force main expansion. Amendment value is $735,558 and 1 year. Total contract value is increased to $1,836,266 over 3 years. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved.
This second item is for a contract amendment for the design of our Intertie 2 pump station and force main in the unincorporated Clackamas County near Milwaukee. As you've heard in our Willamette facilities discussions, our Kellogg Creek Treatment Facility in Milwaukee is at capacity and can't be expanded. The Intertie pump station that was constructed years ago transfers flows to our Tri-City facility for unincorporated county and Happy Valley. The expansion of this pump station and force main downstream is necessary to continue to divert flows for future projected flows to our Tri-City facility. This contract amendment is for preparation of bid documents for 2 projects, both the force main itself and the diversion facilities, including the pump station, which will be bid separately for construction, so we'll be back for that approval. This project is in our adopted CIP. The total amended contract value is about $1.85 million, and the total project cost estimate is $13.6 million for the diversion facility and force main.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Item 3, approval of an amendment to a contract with Century West Engineering Corporation for Phase 2 work to be performed on the Mount Talbert MTA pipe realignment project. Amendment value is $163,560. Total contract value is increased to $213,805 over 1.75 years. Funding is through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved.
This item's for a request of approval of a contract amendment for design of the Mount Talbert sanitary line in our Mount Scott sewer basin. The project was identified in 2022 when a sanitary sewer pipe broke and caused an overflow in Mount Scott Creek. We put in a temporary emergency fix at the time, and then have done some conceptual work to look at a more long-term permanent fix that'll be more stable. The alternatives analysis identified realignment of the line as the best way to improve resiliency and provide better maintenance access. The contract amendment before you is a continuation of that work to take the alternative to final design and construction services for a separate contract that we'll bring before you. The total amended contract value is $264,000. Total project cost right now is estimated at $1 million.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Item 4, acceptance of a transfer of 5 parcels from Clackamas County. No fiscal impact, no county general funds are involved.
This last item is a request to approve the transfer of 5 properties from the county to the district. Historically, we have been maintaining these properties as natural areas and stormwater and surface water infrastructure. So with your approval, we transfer these properties to the district.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Thank you. Chair, will you now reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners?
I'll recess as a Water Environment Services and convene as a Board of County Commissioners.
You will be the Board of County Commissioners for the rest of these items. Next, request for consent agenda for the regular county agenda. First up, elected officials. Item 1, this is for the Sheriff's Office. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Clackamas County Fairgrounds and Event Center to provide law enforcement services at the county fair. The agreement value is $21,500 for approximately 204 hours of service. Funding is through the Clackamas County Fairgrounds and Event Center. No county general funds are involved. Nancy Artman, Finance Manager for the Sheriff's Office, along with Lieutenant Thies and Lieutenant Killinger. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you, Administrator Schmidt. Good morning, Chair Smith and Commissioners. This is a request for the fair to provide law enforcement services. It is reimbursed. There are no general fund dollars involved. It does contemplate salary benefits and other indirect and administrative overhead costs.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Item 2, also with the Sheriff's Office, approval of a public body work order contract with DePaul Industries for uniform screening services at county justice facilities. Contract value is $713,400 for 1 year. Funding is through fees and fines and $577,476 in budgeted county general funds.
Thank you. The general fund dollars are paid for through the Sheriff's Office. That covers the portion for both the juvenile department and the Sheriff's Office. The fees and fines are paid from Justice Court for their portion. This contract provides for screening services at juvenile, the courthouse, and Justice Court. Thank you, Lieutenant. I missed that third one.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. The item from the District Attorney's Office will be pulled until next week at the request of the District Attorney. Next, County Council, item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District related to construction of the Oak Lodge Library. Total value is $21.5 million for library construction, funding through library district revenue, retain fund reserves, county ARPA funds, state ARPA funds, and $5.7 million in budgeted county general funds. Jeff Munns, representing Clackamas County, County Council, will present. Go ahead.
Since we just discussed it, I'll just ask if you have any other questions.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, approval of a settlement agreement with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and Karen Sherman regarding employment litigation. Total value is $197,215. Funding is through the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and the county's risk funds, both of which do include general funds. Sean Lilligren, Assistant County Counsel, go ahead.
This has been discussed at executive session. I have nothing to add. I request your approval on the settlement agreement.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none. Seeing no objections.
Thank you. Next, Technology Services. Item 1, approval of a board order authorizing a purchase order for Adobe Enterprise Volume licensing through a cooperative contract with Dell Marketing. Purchase order value is $183,746 for a one-year term. Funding is through departmental cost allocation and direct departmental billing. No county general funds are involved. Lanu Parapilli is the Director of Technology Services. Cleland, I forgot your last name, is our new Deputy Director of Technology Services. Please introduce yourself to the board.
Good morning. My name is Keelan Cleary, Deputy Director. Started about 2 months ago.
Welcome to Clackamas County. Go ahead, Lanu.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. We are here to request your approval for the renewal of our Adobe products. As you know, we have been extensively using Adobe products for creating PDFs and for electronic signatures especially in the last 2-3 years. So the total contract value is $183,746, one-year term. No county general funds, funding through cost allocations as well as direct billing based on usage. And it's a cooperative agreement. We request you to approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Health, Housing, Human Services. Item 1, approval of an amendment increasing funding to a cooperation agreement with Clackamas Service Center for their West Building Expansion Project. The amendment value is $300,000. Total agreement value is increased to $950,000. Funding is through federal community development block grant funds. No county general funds are involved. Rod Cook, Director of Health, Housing, Human Services. Go ahead.
Yes, this project was originally approved by the funding by the board in July of 2021, following a solicitation and project funding recommendations put forward by community development. The West Building Expansion Project includes a total rebuild of the current annex space, converting it to a space for programming and partner offices, and allowing for an on-site housing access program, mental and behavioral health services, ADA accessible showers, and improved clothing and laundry facilities. I'll stop there because of time, but if you have more questions.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Item 2, approval of a public improvement contract with Desgrolier Development for the Clackamas Service Center Expansion Project. Contract value is $1,417,637 for 6 months. Funding is through federal community development block grant funds and the Clackamas Service Center. No county general funds are involved.
Yes, and this is tied to the previous item. This is the actual contractor of the construction company to carry out the construction work for the Clackamas Service Center Expansion Project.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Item 3, approval of a personal services contract with Do Good Multnomah for supportive housing case management at Clayton Moore Commons. Contract value is $255,416.50 for 1 year. Funding is through Metro Supportive Housing Services Measure Funds. No county general funds are involved.
Yes, this contract will allow for Do Good Multnomah to continue as the supportive housing case management provider at Clayton Moore Commons.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Item 4, approval of an amendment expanding the scope of work, extending the term, and increasing funding of a personal services contract with the Father's Heart Street Ministry for emergency shelter, housing navigation, and placement services. The amendment value is $2,779,692 for 1 year. Total contract value is increased to $3,279,862 for 2 years. Funding is through, $2,397,276 is from Metro Supportive Housing Services Measure Funds, and $382,425 is from budgeted county general funds.
Yes, these funds also expand existing contract program capacity in motel-based emergency shelter and housing navigation and placement to increase rates of placement from those programs into permanent housing. The county general funds allocated in this contract support services outside of the urban growth boundary in rural Clackamas County.
Questions or comments? Seeing no. Objections?
Great. Next, Transportation and Development. Item 1, approval of a public improvement contract with JQ Construction Incorporated for the Tickle Creek 427th Avenue Culvert Replacement Project. Contract value is $399,970. Funding through county road funds. No county general funds are involved. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development. Go ahead.
We had a culvert fail. It's a 10-foot diameter culvert, pretty significant. It's over off 427th Avenue, which is in the Sandy area. Essentially, back in 2022, it was discovered. We've done final design, and this is going to go forward and get the project constructed. So,
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections?
Item 2, approval of a personal services contract with DKS Associates for the 82nd Drive and Jennifer Street Signal Replacement Project. Total contract value is $351,385.65. Funding is through the County Road Fund, insurance proceeds, and fee in lieu of funds. No county general funds are involved.
I'm not sure if the commission understands where this intersection is. It's a very busy intersection. That intersection and signalization has been in place for about 30 years. It's become outdated, doesn't meet ADA requirements, and in addition, a car hit one of the poles, so we've got a temporary pole up there right now. And so basically, this is the design portion of this contract, and we're looking to move forward with implementation design completed by October of 2024 with construction here as soon as possible.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections?
Item 3, approval of an amendment with Consor North America for the Stafford Road, Patullo Way to Rosemont Road Improvements Project. The amendment value is $99,765. Total contract value is increased to $1,648,417. Funding through the Community Road Fund and countywide system development charges. No county general funds are involved.
This is a very big project. It's over off Childs Road. With projects of this nature, sometimes you need additional work and assistance. Essentially, this contract amendment will provide for additional topographical survey data. Expanding the survey limits, additional preliminary design efforts related to analysis of the vertical and horizontal alignments for the road.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections?
Item 4, approval of a personal services contract with Consor North America for construction engineering support and inspection services for the 2023 Transportation Maintenance Services, local paving, chip seal, and slurry seal projects. Contract value is $230,580. Funding is through House Bill 2017 and System Development Charge funds. No county general funds are involved.
Basically, we have a pretty significant paving package going forward this next year. This will be contract support for those services, which is basically project management and engineering support and inspection. For the River Grove, Lake Oswego, Pilkington, West Clackamas paving projects, and the Estacada, Eagle Creek, and Wilsonville chip seal projects. So this is additional assistance to us, make sure those projects go as planned.
Great. Questions or comments? Seeing no objections?
Item 5, approval of a public improvement contract with Eagle Elsner for the Malino paving package. Contract value is $1,912,000. Funding is through House Bill 2017 Road Fund. No county general funds are involved.
This is a contract to resurface about 1.6 miles of Malino Road between Blundell Road and Township Road. Information here describes the services provided. I can tell you it was advertised in accordance with ORS and LCRB rules on June 8th. Bids were opened June 29th, and it was found that Eagle Elsner was the lowest responsive bidder.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Item 6, approval of a board order and quitclaim deed authorizing transfer of 5 parcels to Water Environment Services. No fiscal impact, no county general funds are involved.
This is mirroring the topic you already heard from Wes. Essentially, this is our surplus properties. You've discussed this in the executive session. These properties are either basically detention ponds or properties that are forest lands in floodplains, have little to no redevelopment opportunities, and furthermore, a large number of them Wes is already maintaining as detention ponds. So we're transferring, doing quick claims to transfer these properties to Water Environment Services.
We heard that previously.
Yep.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Thank you. That is it. That's the list. All of these items will be on this Thursday's business meeting agenda, except for the district attorney item, which was pulled.
And I will remind commissioners, if you have any further questions or comments, please email the presenters on this. I know this was fast. I know we all probably could have made comments, but thank you very much for abiding by our time limitation.
Yes.
Gary, what's next?
Thank you. Dan, you can stay here. Next item is 2023 Regional Transportation Plan Response Letter. There's a memo and draft letter in your packet. Dan Johnson will present.
Thank you so much. Chair Smith, Commissioners, basically since October of 2021, Metro has been facilitating a process to review and update the Regional Transportation Plan. Basically, this RTP is needed, and Metro as the MPO is required to coordinate and facilitate the construction of this plan or development of this plan, my apologies. County staff has been participating in the process through various workshops and feedback to the Transportation Advisory Committee, and Commissioner Savas has been very engaged in those processes as a JPAC as well. Basically, we're here to inform the board and that we plan on submitting comments. I'll be submitting comments. The comments are in attachment B. I can tell you the comments are consistent with kind of the board direction to date. It's discussion around, hey, how are you going to do mitigation, diversion mitigation? Discussions. There's actually discussions about expanding and prioritizing the expansion of the road network that's out there. There's discussion about how are you really going to achieve additional transit service. And then there's also a discussion in there or comments we raise about engaging in an additional discussion on transportation funding and financing. So I'll turn it over to Commissioner Savas if he wants to add anything to that.
I just want to Dan, the way I look at this is more of a technical letter
Yes.
than it is a political letter to Metro. So just want to say that.
Hopefully all the commissioners have read it. It's been in our packet for a while. Gary, do we need a motion?
No, just wanted you to be aware, Dan is going to send this letter, and if you had any concerns, to share that with him.
Thank you, Dan, very much.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Next, advisory board and commission appointments. Tony, go ahead, please.
Clackamas County Community Health Council currently has several openings on their board. Through a recruitment process, 2 applications were received. Recommended for appointment is a J. Rennell Morrow to a first term and a Bryn Daniels to a first term.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the slate.
Second.
Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the Clackamas County Community Health Council of J. Renee Murrow and Bryn Daniels, and Commissioner West has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please call the poll.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Schull.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Tony,
To-
what's next?
Madam Chair, the Tourism Development Council currently has 3 openings on their commission. Through a recruitment process, 2 applications were received. Recommendations are Holly Fortmiller to a second full term and Ketan Patel to a first term.
Chair, I move that we approve the Tourism Development Council's recommendation for Holly Fortmiller and Ketan Patel.
Second.
Commissioner West has moved the appointment of the Tourism Council, Development Council of Holly Fort Miller and Ketan Patel, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Further discussion, seeing none. Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner Schull.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Next, review of your business meeting agenda for this Thursday, August 9th, 2023. It is an evening business meeting at 6 p.m. You have a public hearing, the first reading of an ordinance adding Chapter 8.10, short-term rentals, to the Clackamas County Code, and all the consent agenda items you discussed today. If you have any questions on any item, please let me know, and staff and I are happy to answer it for you before Thursday. Thank you, Commissioners, for your prompt work today. The final item is Commissioner Communications.
Now you can talk, Commissioners. We have probably 15 divided by 4. What is that? About 3 minutes, whatever. Who wants to start first? Shoal, go ahead.
Chair, I just want to say to the people who are listening to go to our agenda for Thursday, where you should be able to find the draft regulation for the STR. Is that correct?
Yes, it's
Please
online.
look at that, and I look forward to a robust meeting on that STR hearing on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner West, you're next.
I will hold my comments.
None.
Commissioner Schrader, you can take up their time.
I don't need to.
Oh, look at this.
I think I'm fine. Okay.
Commissioner Savas.
Savas.
Yeah, just to be remiss if I didn't share that last night was the Region 1 ACT meeting. Every couple months, there's a Region 1 ACT meeting. We have been prodding the Oregon Transportation Commission to make the activities or agenda purpose of the R1 Act or the acts in general along the state to be more, I will say, involved and more robust. And we have been, we have submitted a letter, as did Washington County, and we got responses back here previously. So it looks as though that the new OTC commissioners and the new chair are taking it pretty seriously. In attendance last night was Julie Brown from Medford. She's been a commissioner for a long time. She's now the chair of the OTC, as well as the newest commissioner, I believe, or the second newest commissioner, Jeff Baker. So they were in attendance last night. They seemed to be very concerted. We was out in Hood River, by the way, and we actually toured one of the trails, a historic trail. So that's about a month or so from the grand opening in September. It's a federally funded and state funded, $213 million, just to give you a range of this project. I won't get into the math, but I think it's fascinating.
Fascinating, is it?
Yeah, it's a bike ped trail. It looks like it's gonna be a very cool trail, and it was actually the place and point of the first paved road with improvements at standards at AASHTO or something regulatory standards in the state of Oregon.
Wow.
So it was kind of cool to see it. Again, it's bike ped now. It's not for vehicles. But we got a little bit of a history lesson there at the Act 1 meeting. Had some technical challenges. I'll elaborate more at a different time, but just wanted to share with you that, that meeting occurred. There's interest in making, I did make the plea for us being more engaged in transportation funding in the future because of the shortfalls. That's a big, big deal for all of us. And yesterday morning, on that same note, on that same thread, had the first meeting, organizational meeting to set up between the AOC and LOC yesterday morning, this funding discussion, which will be continuing on for, late this year and into next year. So it all ties together.
Thank you, Commissioner Savas. Last night I attended the Sunnyside Mount Scott CPO meeting. It was about an hour and a half. We discussed, we had a report from two Clackamas County Sheriff deputies, Lieutenant Mendez and Captain Sheldon, about the crime reports. We talked about homelessness, housing, the efforts that are being done on that. Vahid Brown made a presentation. And we also discussed the 82nd Avenue construction projects going forward. Good, lively discussion. It was very informative, I think, hope to all people. And that's really all I have today. Commissioners, thank you very much for your attentiveness to detail today and being within an important time limitation. See no important business before this commission. We are adjourned.
Commissioner Savas.